What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So I will be making schedule predictions for every single Power 5 team in college football for this upcoming season. And I'll also do a subsequent conference standings video once I finish up every single team in that specific conference, just as a synopsis of all of my schedule predictions. Those synopsis videos will be coming later on in the year as we get close to the start of the college football season. We have a couple weeks. We're getting close. I think there's about 5 weeks left. I've got a lot of individual prediction videos to get through between now and then, though. So let's go ahead and get into the Kansas State schedule predictions. So some quick thoughts on the Kansas State program as a whole heading into 2022. And this is an interesting program because I really like their coaching staff. I like the direction of the program as a whole. They have some fun players on their roster as well, despite losing a good amount of talent too. But they seem to be knocking on the door of being really good. They just aren't quite there yet as a program. And regardless, though, nobody wants to play them. Even though they aren't the best team in the conference or anything like that, they're a very tough out, and they always seem to find a way to get a big upset or two, or at the very least push a team that is superior to them on paper to the absolute brink. And this year is a year where there is some hype around the program making a push in the Big 12. And most of the season, I think, is going to fall on the shoulders of Adrian Martinez, who has all of the ability in the world. He just hasn't been able to put it together at any point at Nebraska. Maybe Kansas State will be different, I'm not sure. But the Big 12 is kind of wide open this year. They have a lot of very good teams, which makes it a very interesting schedule. But also, there's no great teams that, Kansas State just doesn't have a shot against either. So, let's go ahead and look at some of the teams that just don't have much of a chance to beat Kansas State, barring catastrophe. They just aren't worth discussing very much. And those teams are South Dakota and Tulane. So, the first game we are going to talk about comes in Week 2 in a home game against Missouri, and this one is a huge toss-up. I also think this one could sway the season a little bit. I think Missouri is probably ever so slightly better than Kansas State, but it is ever so slightly. I mean, it is a very close matchup. I think both teams are probably in that 7 to 8 win range, and they're going to be very interesting to see how this one plays out. I think Missouri gets the win. I know it is home for Kansas State, and it's a tough road trip. I still think Missouri is a little bit better than them and gets this win, but a win here would be huge for them. Next game up is in Week 4, and that is at Oklahoma, and this is one where they're definitely going to be outmatched a little bit. Oklahoma has a better team than them, but it's interesting because they always seem to give Oklahoma a hard time. They very well could pull off an upset here, and it would be an upset, but it wouldn't be a huge one. They're certainly good enough to win this game. Now, I won't pick them to win the game. I think Oklahoma still does win. They are better than Kansas State at this point. But Kansas State certainly has a shot here. It'll be interesting. I hope Kansas State gets the win, honestly, just because I want to see absolute chaos erupt in the Big 12. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm still going to go with Oklahoma in that one, though. Next game up is Texas Tech, and Texas Tech is a team that is very good. They're around that bowl eligibility range, in my opinion, and they're certainly a tough matchup for Kansas State. I think Kansas State is better than them. They're not dramatically better than them, but they are better than them, and Kansas State is at home. So I'm going to say Kansas State gets the win here, but not a pushover game by any means. Next game up is at Iowa State, and these two teams, in my opinion, are about as evenly matched as it gets. They are super close. It is going to be a very interesting game, very close game, very competitive game. I'm excited to see how that one plays out. I think that Kansas State might be slightly better. I don't know. It's really close, but with Iowa State being at home, it's a really tough place to play. I think I'm going to give the win to Iowa State there, mainly just due to the home field advantage. Another one, though, Kansas State has a great chance in. Do not count them out. Next game up is at TCU, and this is one very similar to the Iowa State game. I think it's a toss-up. I think it's a 50-50 game. I think the teams are very evenly matched. I think they're in that same category. But it's tough, and being at TCU is another tough one. I'm going to go with Kansas State in this one because I think that they're probably going to split the Iowa State TCU games. I'm going to go with Kansas State in the TCU game here because they're coming off of a bye week. I think they upset TCU, and it's not really an upset. Upset's not the word I should use. They're evenly matched. I think they get the win on the road there against TCU. They're coming off a bye week. I think it's going to help them a lot there. So I'm going to go with Kansas State in that one. And then after that, they play Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State is just tough. You know, they're probably the best team in the conference at this point, and it's not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think that Kansas State has a great shot in this one. Now, they get them at home, and they're certainly not so outmatched that they can't win. But they are certainly not as good as them, and I have a hard time picking them to pull off that upset. I do think that they have a chance, though. I do think that they could certainly win that game and be really competitive in it for sure. But I'm going to go with Oklahoma State to win. I think Oklahoma State is probably one of your best teams in the Big 12 this upcoming year. Now, after that, they get Texas at home. And Texas and Kansas State, I think, are also pretty evenly matched. I think Texas is a little flashier. They probably have a little more just raw talent. But I like the way Kansas State plays football a little better. I think they're a little bit more disciplined. I like their coaching staff a little bit better. And they're at home here. And so I don't know if you should count it as an upset or not, but I'm going to go with Kansas State to beat Texas here. Another one where I kind of think that they'll be really competitive. They'll fight them towards the end. And I think Kansas State just gets the win there late. Similar to the TCU game, in my opinion. I think Texas is a little bit better than TCU. But Kansas State was on the road for the TCU game. They're at home for this one. So I think they beat Texas. I don't know if you should call it an upset or not, because I think Kansas State is a pretty evenly matched team with them. The week after that, they go at Baylor, and that's another one that's just, it's tough. There's so many games in the Big 12 that are so evenly matched. It makes it really hard for me to predict a lot of them. This is another one. I think Baylor is a little bit better than Kansas State, but not dramatically better than them. They are at home here as well, though, and I think that could be a big difference here with them being a little bit better and the home team. I'm going to go with Baylor to get the win. Another one, though, Kansas State could certainly win. They can really push that one, and it could go either way. An interesting game to watch nonetheless. So the next game up is at West Virginia, and this is another one very similar to the Baylor matchup that I think could really go either way. They're very evenly matched teams. It's going to be very interesting to see. Now, if a lot of this comes down to Adrian Martinez, if he plays to his potential, I think they'll win this game. And if he plays to his true potential, they'll win a lot of these toss-up 50-50 games. I'm going to side with Kansas State here. I think they're a little bit better than West Virginia, just ever so slightly, even though they're on the road. I think it's another one of those kind of toss-up 50-50s. I'm going to give them the edge in that one. And then they round out the year with Kansas at home, and Kansas is just not very good. They're probably going to win maybe 2 games this upcoming year like normal. Kansas State is certainly the better team here. I think Kansas State probably wins by 3 or more scores. It is technically a rivalry, though, so maybe keep an eye out for that. But I'm not convinced that Kansas can really push and compete with Kansas State at this point. So that would make Kansas State 7-5 on the season, which probably isn't quite what the fan base wants, and there is definitely room for improvement here on a better record. They can find wins against teams like Missouri and Iowa State, and then even Baylor or Oklahoma as well. But there are just a lot of really difficult games on the schedule, and there's not many easy wins to be found. And assuming they kind of go 500 in the toss-up games, I've got them right around that 7-5 or 8-4 kind of thing, which to me just kind of feels like where the program still is at this point. They're right on the cusp of taking that next step as a program to get to that 9-10 win kind of range consistently. I just don't think they're quite there yet. I've got them at 7-5. I could see some 8-4, 9-3 type of things, but I could also see some 6-6. So anyway, though, that'll do it for this one. Let me know down below in the comment section where you guys agree and or disagree with me on the Kansas State schedule in 2022. Tell me what record you think that they're going to have next year and who, if anybody, they're going to lose to. Also, if you made it this far in the video, be sure to go ahead and leave a like because it does help out the channel tremendously. And subscribe to the channel for more college football content in the future. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of content coming out. I've finished the ACC and the SEC, so check those out if you haven't. Also, I'm going to be working through the Big 12 right now, and after that, we're going to move on to the Pac-12 and just keep it on rolling from there. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.